Does their content actually resonate with my destination or my brand? Are they a partier and they're just trying to go to party scenes? Am I a party destination? Does that resonate with me?
Okay, welcome everybody again to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker. We have another great guest here for you today and another great episode. Before we dive in too far, we had a couple of audio issues throughout the show, and hopefully you'll bear with us and be patient with the audio because we had a great episode here today. Want to remind everybody that reviews help us be found, help more destination marketers get access to our show, and would love if you're enjoying the podcast, leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And then also we have the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. And in fact, today's guest is someone that I have interacted with and gotten to know a little bit through our Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. And I would love to have everybody that's listening join that group. Let's share information. Our guest today has shared some information in that group, and the goal is for all of us to learn and grow together. So please make sure that you take advantage of that opportunity. It's free. It's free education, trying to get more and more stuff in there as we go. So I want to welcome our guest to the show. Her name is Brie Timings, and she is from New Zealand. Well, excuse me, she's in New Zealand, and she'll tell us about where she's from. But really excited to have you on the show, Brie. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Adam. I'm super pumped to talk today with you. I can't wait to get started with this episode.
Great. Well, you know the drill, but we ask everyone, what is your dream destination? If you go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
If anyone said to me, do you want to go here? I'd be like, yep. Like, I'm good to go anywhere. I love traveling. But if I had to choose a place, I think I'd like to go to Bali. I could really use for some relaxation, I think, and those beautiful photos of like crystal clear waters and is all what I'm about right now. So I think that would be great. Or South America. I would love to go to South America as well.
Oh man, a friend of mine just got back from Bali, and her photos are amazing. Her trip looked amazing. I think that's a really good dream destination.
Yeah, and it's actually not too far from New Zealand. It's quite a popular one for us to head over to, so it doesn't seem so out of reach now that I live here.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into where you live. I want to ask you one more question.
Yeah.
Well, I guess before that, you mentioned South America. I spent a couple of years in Brazil, and I've got to tell you, it's amazing. And it's the people of Brazil were amazing. And anyway, I think you would love it. I really do.
That's cool. I love that culture and everything. It would be a great place to visit.
Awesome. Okay. Now, favorite place you've ever been?
100% favorite place would be Bhutan, I think.
Bhutan. Now tell me where Bhutan is.
So Bhutan is a little country in the Himalayan mountains. I was actually spending 3 months in Bangladesh, and Bhutan was like week getaway sort of thing, a little excursion. So it's sort of like just north of Bangladesh in the mountains.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool. Very unique experience.
One of my favorite things about asking these questions on the show is I always learn about new places that I haven't been to that need to be on my list. And Bhutan sounds like it needs to be added.
Absolutely. It's such a unique experience because not a lot of people get to go there. They only take it's not that they have a cap on how many tourists they have, but only about 100,000 people actually visit there per year. And their whole tourism model is very, very unique, the way that they do it. So it's something that a lot of places have looked into for sustainable tourism, which is also something that I'm really passionate about. So to be able to have seen that in real life was like a dream come true for me.
Oh, we'll have to get to that too. That sounds interesting. We can dive into that.
For sure.
Well, I appreciate you sharing some of those with us. I want you to know that you live in my dream destination. I've wanted to go to New Zealand my whole life. It just looks amazing, and it seems like it's got everything. It's got your beach destinations. It's got the mountains. It's got, I've been to Fiji, and that's as close as I've gotten. but New Zealand is definitely on my list.
Yeah, and you know what? It will not disappoint in any way. I am always amazed that I actually live here and in such a beautiful place. I live in the Bay of Islands, which is right at the top of the North Island, and it's just crystal clear waters, beaches for days, and then you have the bush to hike through, and it's just so beautiful. And the most amazing thing that I had to get used to when I was here is that there's no like bears, there's no foxes, there's no nothing. Like when you go camping, there's no like dangers like that to really be worried about, which was so weird for me coming from Canada.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you're at the top of the food chain in New Zealand, right?
Yeah, totally. We just got lots of birds.
Lots of birds. Okay. So for
Yeah,
our birders out there, we need to go to
yeah,
New Zealand for birds.
totally.
Well, tell me a little bit about what took you from Canada to New Zealand.
So about 10 years ago in 2006, I did a lot of traveling, basically ended up in New Zealand to study Bible college of all things. So I wanted to become a pastor. And I did that here in Auckland. And that's where I met and married my husband. And so, yeah, so he's a Kiwi. And when I finished my degree, we decided to move back to Canada. And then, I think we spent 6 years in Canada. We had a bunch of kids. And then we decided to move back to New Zealand.
Now, a bunch of kids. What is a bunch of kids? Is that 12, 13?
No, it's just we have a 6-year-old and then we have 4-year-old twins. So sometimes it feels like a lot more than just 3 kids with those twins in the mix. But yeah, so we have 3 kids.
Twins. Okay, I'm a twin. My mom used to always tell me, I hope you have twins, just so you can know what it's like.
It's an adventure, that's for sure.
So you had these kids, moved to New Zealand, and tell me a little bit about, once you got to New Zealand, how did you set up your home? How did you call it home? Did you set up your job and career that you have now when you got there? Did you already have a job lined up when you went out there? Tell me a little bit about that transition.
Okay, so when we were in Canada, so my dad actually owns a massage therapy school in Canada, and the plan was that I was going to take over that college. So I think it was in 2013 I became the associate director, and I really wanted to. I found this huge passion for business. I absolutely loved like managing the people, managing the finances, understanding systems and things and how we were going to grow into the future. I looked at where our resources were going and thousands of dollars we were paying out to a marketing agency every month, but we weren't seeing any return. And when I started looking further and further into it, just this particular agency, I felt was sort of exploiting the fact that we didn't understand digital marketing. We didn't know anything about Facebook or anything like that. And so through a process, I fired them, and then I basically overnight, I got all my duotangs lined up. Do you know what duotangs are?
I don't know what duotangs are. I'd love to hear.
What that word is. Must be a Canadian thing. So like little workbooks, and I had one labeled for Twitter and one labeled for Facebook and Instagram, and I would just print off articles and articles. I'd research everything I could about how to post on Facebook, how to look at your insights, what you're supposed to do on Instagram. I would do like lots of any online certification courses about social media. I did those and I grew. So as I was learning this, we were implementing this within the college and seeing these incredible returns and seeing that we were starting to get further into our understanding who our ideal student was. Then I started speaking at national conferences to other business owners and college owners about how to get online and the urgency of getting online to meet our new students and our ideal students. So after doing that for a couple of years and speaking to these people, they started asking me, can you just do our social media? Can you just do that? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of your competitor here. And so I started to realize that being the college owner was more my dad's dream and his legacy. And I wanted to do something that I was even more passionate about and create my own legacy. And so that's how I got into social media. And so I started, just doing a few on the side part-time, and I went down to part-time at the college. And then me and my husband realized, if I do full time with the social media, we could go back to New Zealand and our kids could be outdoors all year round. And so that's what we did. We decided to do that. And that was in 2017. And yeah, we've just seen incredible growth. And within the last year, I've really niched down to just focusing on tourism, which I have just found such incredible passion for. So that's kind of how I came here to where I am today, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you stumbled into what really has turned out to be such an incredible industry to be a part of, as you now know, and so fun, so much opportunity, and guess what? You get to visit the best places in the world if you work in this business, right? So yeah, I don't blame you at all for jumping in with both feet. So okay, you moved to New Zealand, you started your social media marketing company, you focused on tourism. How in the world did you find the Destination Marketing Podcast?
Well, I live in a tiny town. And yeah, I just don't have, I think one of the biggest things was when I was in Canada and I was doing social media, I was charging, these great amounts because people understood what social media was and the purpose for it. When I came to New Zealand, people were like, what? I don't need to be on Facebook. And like the businesses, were just like, I don't need to be on social media. And so it was just such a mind shift of like, oh man, like I need to start educating these people. And so there wasn't really a whole lot of other people, especially in my area, who were doing the same thing, who I could talk to about things. And so I just started looking for podcasts about tourism marketing, destination marketing, to sort of just educate myself and feel like I was part of a community and that I wasn't alone. And living rurally, I do a lot of traveling, and usually it's about half an hour to any other town. So that's about the time of a podcast. So I think that's why I was so drawn to podcasts.
Oh, how cool. And so you stumbled upon ours, huh?
Yeah.
And how long have you been listening?
Oh, I've been listening for a few months now. I think probably 3 or 4 months.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it's definitely good to have you as a listener, Brie. And I always get a kick out of hearing, we started this podcast not knowing exactly what it was going to be, right? And now you're the second person from New Zealand that has reached out and yes, and talked to us about, destination marketing in New Zealand. And it's just fascinating for me to hear, okay, how do all these people hear about it? How does it grow? Because we haven't spent a dime publicizing the podcast, so it's fun to kind of see where the show goes. Anyway, we won't go any farther down that rabbit hole.
Sounds good.
So you got into the social media world, especially in destination marketing. What have you found? What have you learned about destination marketing that you feel like would really benefit our listeners to hear?
Well, when I started getting into the tourism and destination marketing, I really realized that social media in the last few years has really played a part, unfortunately, I think, in the over-tourism crisis and, the damaging of sites and things like that, and culture and people. And the people who are actually living there getting so frustrated that these tourists are there. So that really kind of shook me a bit, because just in who I am, I would never want to contribute to something that was ruining the lives of the local people or, the environment or the land. And so I really think that as destination marketers, we really need to be a stakeholder in the destination itself and the community, and doing our marketing in an ethical way, instead of just how can we get as many people to this destination as possible? How can we just overwhelm the market? Doing it in an ethical way that while you're bringing tourists in, you're bringing the right people who understand how to treat that destination, what that destination is really about. Not just a pretty Instagram photo, but the culture and the community that is behind that beautiful landscape. And so, really having these, just thinking deeply about what our marketing campaigns are actually doing to the destinations, I think is the biggest thing that's transformed my thinking for sure.
Okay, so you bring up a question for me then, because one of the things that you talk about is getting the right tourist to come, right?
Yeah.
How do you decide ahead of time who the right tourist is, who's going to abuse the area and who's not? Because it seems like that's something that manifests itself once it gets there.
Totally.
And if you're using maybe a target profile or a persona or something like that, how can you exclude or include depending on, like, what factors are you using, right?
Yeah, totally. I think it's about really doing a lot of research beforehand on those personas and and understanding what the values are of the destination. So whether it is maintaining the culture or whatever that may be, having those values really underlining everything that the destination tries to do in marketing. And then from those values, putting together personas that also share those same values, if that makes sense. And then when you're doing your marketing, just really speaking to those values of the community and trying to attract people that want to see those things, like want to see that traditional culture or whatever it is. Or do you want to have that nightlife scene? Like, do you really want to showcase, the CBD somewhere and really show that this is a place to party and let loose and spend your money and have fun? And then really just marketing to that type of persona. Does that make sense?
Oh, it absolutely makes sense. And if I'm interpreting correctly, what you're saying is that instead of looking at demographics to exclude or include, you focus on value-based messaging, and then the people that are the right people will resonate, that value-based messaging will resonate with them and cause them to want to travel. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, totally. And I think you have to look at all things. Like, we have to look at, like, okay, who is naturally attracted to this area and why are they attracted to this area? And then also, what are the values of the people who live in that destination, and how can we marry those both? How can we try to exclude some that are really damaging to that area or culture, and just go from there.
Right. Well, it's an interesting point because, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure how New Zealand's tourism funding is structured, right? So I'll give you that caveat.
Yeah.
But here in Utah, I'll give you the example here in Utah in the United States, there is a lot of complaint about over tourism, right? There's a lot of people here that are upset with tourists. They don't like having tourists come. And then there's a lot of people that are really accepting and really appreciate tourism. It totally depends on who you're talking to. But kind of the buzz in Utah right now is over tourism, especially in some of our major national parks, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I feel like the regular citizen does not recognize is that tourism in Utah, for example, saves every taxpayer or maybe it's every household, $1,300 a year in tax savings when the tourists come here, right?
Yeah.
And so the revenue generated saves the locals that kind of money. And so my question is, for one, does New Zealand do it the same way, or do they experience the same savings? Because I think that's an important thing to be aware of. But then if they do, how do we educate the citizens or stakeholders of a destination on also the benefits of some of this tourism that they're a little bit upset about, right?
Yeah, totally. I totally get that. I'm not 100% sure what the savings is that we receive from the tourists. I know that we've actually just put in the New Zealand Electronic Transport Authority, which is sort of like a visa that people have to now apply for to enter into the country, whereas before they didn't have to do that. And so it's added on a new tourism levy, which will benefit, infrastructure and things like that, but I'm not exactly sure what that the amount is that we benefit from it. But I think that there needs to be definitely an education about it, and it needs to come from places that people are already watching. For example, the news here recently did like a big exploit or whatever on the TV about the government spending $8 million over the last, I think it was 7 years, on influencer marketing. And they went to some teenagers to get their opinions on what they thought, is this a good way to spend our taxpayers' money or whatever? And of course, these teenagers, they don't know anything about influencer marketing. They don't know anything about marketing in general. Just because they have an Instagram account doesn't mean that they're the industry expert. And that put a real downplay on what the government was doing. And so I did a little video about it and stuff, and was like, I think this is ridiculous. I think we should be thankful that we have a government that is forward thinking in their marketing. And a lot of that money was spent on this and this and this over the last 8 years. And I kind of explained what that $8 million actually got us. And we saw a 16 to 1 return on investment for one of the campaigns. And so I think it needs to come from these major sources like the media that, our communities are watching every night at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever. And it needs to be spoken about in a positive way or a factual way, which unfortunately doesn't really make the positive doesn't really make the news very often. So
yeah,
there needs to also be some investment in educating the community as well, because there's nothing like going to a destination as a tourist and just feeling that the locals don't want you there and that you're not welcome. Yeah. And I think we've all sort of experienced that, and you just feel awful for enjoying yourself and for having a great time. So there does need to be that investment from the community as well. And I think when the community is involved in creating those values and what they find important, then they become stakeholders as a sense, and being educated on, look, this is actually a return that you're receiving in your own pocket from this industry. So we should all get on board in some ways.
Yeah, you've brought up with that example of what happened in New Zealand, you've brought up a really interesting challenge that a lot of destinations have. Destinations are so focused on getting people from outside the destination to come in that at times, especially from a PR standpoint, they are neglecting the education of the local stakeholders, which are the ones that really pay a lot of the taxes that allow these things to happen. And so, in my opinion, part of the problem with that situation was not that they spent $8 million in 7 years on influencer marketing. Yeah. I would argue that a lot of countries are spending a lot more than that on influencer marketing. Instead, the problem is that they didn't tell the public what they're doing and why they were doing it and why it was a great thing to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, we didn't even plan on talking about PR for destinations on this episode, but here we are, Brie, right?
That's right.
Now, I know that you are, and we talk about influencer marketing. We had an episode a couple of weeks ago where we talked a little bit about influencer marketing, but I'd love to get your perspective on why influencer marketing for destinations can be so effective and why destinations need to stop neglecting it. And maybe we'll start there, and I've got more follow-up questions after that because this is a component that's important to me, but go ahead.
I really do think that they need to stop neglecting it, but they also need to be really well researched on the influencers that they're choosing to represent their destination. I'm actually quite new to influencer marketing. I'm into setting up famils and stuff for the destination because I do work for the Bay of Islands here in setting up some of our famils. Okay. When I went to research, okay, how do I do this? There was nothing. There was a lot of information on how to become an influencer, but there wasn't a lot of information on okay, how do I interact with them? What is this supposed to look like? What's this campaign supposed to look like? What do they actually do? And all of that kind of stuff. I kind of had to just learn for myself. And I think the biggest thing that destinations and even individual tourism operators miss out on is the research part and making sure that that influencer is legit and that they're actually going to be a benefit for the destination or the experience.
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about that. How do you research and find out that an influencer is the right influencer for your destination?
If you're even interested in a specific influencer or an influencer contacts you, the first thing that you need to do is go to their Instagram feed or their YouTube or Facebook, wherever it is that their predominant platform is, and just spend some time researching that type of content. So checking out, does their content actually resonate with my destination or my brand? Are they a partier and they're just trying to go to party scenes? Am I a party destination? Does that resonate with me? Or do they spend a lot of time hiking or they adventure sports, and seeing how that resonates with you, because their followers are probably going to enjoy what they're doing and the activities they're taking part in. And then you want to look at, do they actually understand how Instagram works? Are they geotagging their content? Are they mentioning brands that they're working with? Are they using relevant hashtags? And are those hashtags just a standard, 12 hashtags they put with each and every post, like influencer marketing or hashtag influencer? Or are they actually using relevant hashtags to what's in that particular post or what destination they're at? So yeah, checking out, does their content resonate with my destination, and do they actually know how to use Instagram or the platform? But predominantly it's Instagram that we find influencers on. So that's the first thing. Then I think you want to look at the conversations that they're having with their community. So does their subject matter actually create meaningful conversations with their community? And do those conversations resonate with your brand values? And I say meaningful conversations because Facebook really values these engaging, meaningful conversations, and the algorithm wants to put that type of content first. So if it's generating a lot of conversation, it's probable that that influencer really is understanding how to use the platform, but also cares about their community and cares about their job as an influencer and with these deep and meaningful type of conversations that they're having, and making sure that their captions and the conversations they're having in the comments resonate again with who your destination is and those brand values. And then seeing, do their followers take time to engage in discussion with the influencer in the comments? And does the influencer engage back? So if their followers just put like a little heart emoji, and that's all they really do, or great pic or something, that's not really a meaningful conversation. That's not really going to drive sales to your destination. What that tells me is that their followers just like the type of photography that they do, or they like the fact that they go traveling, but don't really care about the destinations they're traveling to. And so I think part of that is, what types of photos or videos they're using, how they're using their captions. Are their followers engaging with that in the comments? And then is the influencer taking the time to engage back and let them know, oh yeah, it was here. This is where we went for dinner, and this is what I suggest on the menu. You're going to love it. Or, oh, this was a secret track that the tour guide told us that just happened to be off of here. Or, that they're really engaging with these conversations. And then finally, the last thing that you want to look at when you're researching them on the platform is, are they using Instagram stories creatively? Are they using Instagram stories, and probably on a daily basis, they should be using them as an influencer? And are they using it creatively in a way that draws their community to engage with them, to answer questions, polls, take action? Are they geotagging their stories as well. Are they using the stickers and options that, Instagram is offering them to use, that wants them to use, to engage their followers, to watch, all the different segments of the story, instead of just them looking pretty on a boat or something? Are they using their stories to show them more of the experience, more of the destination, and draw them in to all that destination has to offer?
Yeah, to me, it seems like it goes back to what you were saying about the values, right? And making sure that you're targeting people with the right values. And if you're going to use influencers for your destination, they need to have the same values that you feel like your destination represents, or that the people you want to come to your destination represent, right? So I think that ties in really well with what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, totally.
I know, Brie, that you're a big believer in video marketing and just creating video content. In fact, you've posted some really good videos in the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. I'd love to have you talk to us a little bit about video content, what type of video content you like, and why you feel like it's effective.
I love video content. It's just so easy for me to just get those videos out there and people watch them more. And I just I love it. I think it's such an effective way. Types of videos that I love is the question, right? So I think as a destination, it's so easy to show the really glamorous side of our destination, and these sweeping motions and drone shots of, people enjoying a glass of wine or in this infinity pool overlooking the ocean or something, right? We've all seen those types of destination videos, but I think in a way we've sort of seen those and they've been done. And I think tourists are wanting a bit more to experience the culture and the authenticity of a place. And it doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't have to be completely polished. One of the videos that caught my eye the other day actually was in New Zealand. We have this stone called Punamo, which is really sacred to the Maori people, and they create these necklaces out of that stone. And so this video was just showing the process of how they create these necklaces from the rock that they find in the river to this beautiful necklace that we as tourists often, take home as a nice little trinket from New Zealand. And I think showing, creating videos more around the spirit of the culture and why we put those necklaces in our souvenir shops. Like, why do we feel that necklace is a part of our culture, a part of New Zealand? And how does it get to you in that shop? Yeah, like just showing a more authentic side of the destination and not always just the glamorous side of it, because rarely does a vacation go as glamorous as it's depicted. The kids are screaming, we're exhausted, we're running from here to there. And just showing a bit more of that reality, I think, will really resonate with a lot more tourists than we expect.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I noticed that you do a lot of face to the camera, video of your own, right? For you specifically. Is that something that you feel like more destinations could utilize talking about their destination? Or do you feel like that's more of a selling mode type video? What would you recommend in that type of video content?
I think there's actually a place to have sort of like this host of a destination. So actually having someone on staff that visitors recognize as the face of that destination. And it doesn't have to be the most glamorous person or whatever, but it's the person that goes and experiences the different things. So maybe they're actually scared of the zip line, and the whole video is about this momentum of, I'm really nervous about the zip line, and they finally get up there and they go and do it, and it's this great experience. And then, the next week they're seeing them doing a hiking track or swimming with the dolphins. I'm just thinking of things that we offer here. And it's someone that the visitors come to love and recognize and see themselves in. And again, that host is someone who values the same things as the community, who values the same things as the visitors who are drawn to that type of destination. And it doesn't have to be videos that are like, just that person. You may have all kinds of videos within the mix, but frequently enough so that we get to kind of know, and trust this host of the destination, I think is a great way to, perhaps a way that we could explore marketing our destinations in a new way that's completely different from what we've done before.
Yeah, definitely a different take. I like it. Well, Brie, it's amazing how the time flies when we're doing an episode. It feels like the show just flies by. But I'd love to ask you if there's anything else that I haven't asked you that you feel like would be a real beneficial piece of advice or information that you could give our listeners.
I think just being bold and brave in your choices and just trying different things, just trying to work against the grain. I think if we always do what every destination is doing and market our destination the safe way, it's not going to make us stand out as much as possibly something that is completely different could do. And even though there may be the haters and the people that don't get what you're doing, and maybe you'll make mistakes, I think just learn from those mistakes, but continue trying to forge a different way to market your destination that is unique to those values of that culture and the community, and that serves the community in a great way.
Great. Good stuff. Well, Brie, this has been fun. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate having you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and you'll see me pop up in that LinkedIn group again and again.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It's great content. You. Everybody, this has been another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. Thank you for listening. Reminder for everybody, we referred a few times with Brie today about the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. I'd love to have everybody go join that. We also have an email address that we've created if you want to reach out to the show directly, but maybe not in front of all the different people in the Destination Marketers LinkedIn group. And that's Destination Marketing Podcast at relicagency.com. If you have a topic suggestion, if you have a question for us, if you have a suggestion of a guest that we should have on, send us an email at that email address, Destination Marketing Podcast at relicagency.com, and we'll respond and address it in any way that we can. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.